What's up, guys? Welcome back to another voiceover tutorial, sort of. Either way, guys, we're doing lying leg curls on the home gym bench. Again, if we're using a commercial gym lying leg curl bench, where our hips are popping up slightly, the bench would have a little bit of an incline that would fit our hips right there. So we're in a little bit of a disadvantageous position here. So the main thing for us is understanding that, what we're using, but at the same time, you can see our hips pop up, but our hips are driven down on the eccentric on the way down. So you can almost look at it as a way of doing almost like a mechanical drop set, if anything, is, driving the hips up at first and then going down. I'm not saying we want to do that and have that as part of your actual lift, but if you have a hard time getting your hips down, it's a good way to get it up, but then as soon as you're doing the eccentric part of the load like this, driving your hips down. That's the most important part, is making sure that your hips are driven down while the weight is going down into eccentric lengthened contraction. Good. Heels drift down, hips down. I got you. Push. Good. Hips down. Good. Now again, for me, I'm in a Dorsiflex position. My toes are pointed. So my calves are in a shortened position while my hamstrings are in a lengthened position at the bottom of the lift, which makes this very hard. It makes it a lot harder. I like doing it, like switching things up a bit. You can do it as well too, but again, when we're doing this, I'm trying my best to keep my hips driven to the ground or to the bench, right? We're extending at the hip the entire time. That is your focus, right? If your butt pops up, work on that. I'm sure you're going to be on a bench that's going to allow you to have your hips in that position anyway. But if you're like myself here, the goal is to make sure those hips stay extended on the way down into that lengthened part of the lift.
Hey guys, check it out. My Iron Sharpens Iron and Progressive Overload graphic tees are out right now. So head to the link in the description below and grab yours now.
Find your center of mass, so you'll find it sitting right in your middle of your foot. So right over top where you're balanced. And you keep that, let your hips, knees break from there. And keep your chest up. Yeah. Yeah, find that weight forward. Good, you always keep your weight forward. Think about sitting, yeah, like that. If you sit there and break from there, you'll definitely find that balance from there. Yeah, good. As you always feel like there's pressure on your toes and still on your heel. Good, like that. Do 3 more like that. Ride down slow, stretch, push. Good. Right down slow, stretch, up. Good, one more. Good. So what I'm trying to get her to understand is, especially on this machine, the biggest mistake I see people do is they get minimal knee flexion, meaning the knee is not going over the toe and they're just sitting their butt back. and turning this thing into a fully hamstring slash maybe glute exercise. But this is meant for you to be in a squat position. It's meant for your knees to flex and your hips to flex as well. So you can see I'm getting a really good amount of hip and knee flexion, driving to the floor, stretching at the bottom, and then driving up. So the reason why I'm putting my hands like this is so I can get myself down high enough so I'm not relying on using the top handle here to pull myself up. Now, if you have to, you can, right? But you want to really focus on stretching at the bottom and then driving yourself up.
Good. If you focus on those knees traveling over your foot, you're gonna find yourself more strength. Naturally, let your butt go back. Good. Good.
So she's doing a lot better job here. She still needs to push her knees forward a little more. You can see at the bottom, her knees can go forward a little bit more. And that's where she struggles with this machine because she's strong enough on other machines leg-wise. And you'll see the next exercise, she's a lot stronger. And this is a confident thing for her. And it's a lot of confident thing for a lot of people is they're scared to go all the way down and not get back up. And I have to reassure her, like, look, if you can't get up, guess what? You just take the belt off and stand up, right? So look at the difference between myself and her. If you watch my knees, they're continuing to go forward. They're continuing, and then up. So when I'm all the way down to the bottom, my knees are completely over my toes. They're not past my toes, but even if they are past your toes, it's fine. But that's what we want. If we want our quads to get the best out of this machine, as well as your hamstrings and glutes, we want to make sure we get complete knee flexion and complete hip flexion. Slowly descending, squeeze at the bottom, and then stretch at the top, or vice versa. Stretch at the bottom, squeeze at the top. You know what I'm saying. And again, when it comes to weight, guys, I can do another plate on here fairly easily. But again, I'm gonna make this as hard as I possibly can. And then I'll add weight. Now this is the one I love the most actually, is using the safety bar from Bells of Steel. Great thing to use to do foot elevated reverse lunge. Really, really good to do. Love doing this almost just as much as like doing dumbbells. I find that doing this, you have a little more balance than dumbbells.
Okay, don't touch your knee, back knee. Don't touch your back knee. And you can avoid that by just stepping a little bit further. Trust your, one more rep. Let's try the other foot. There you go.
Now the thing for Caroline here, and she's done an absolutely amazing job getting herself to where she is right now. But again, when we're doing lunges, if we're doing any kind of split squats, quote unquote, talking like Bulgarian split squats, regular split squats, front foot elevated split squats, reverse lunge. What we want to do is we want to make sure that the knee travels over your toe the entire time. So knee travels over your toe. You can see when she's going back that the knee stops flexing and then it kind of stays in one position and then she's going back. We want to make sure that the knees stay forward. So watch myself, my knee continues to go forward. So when I'm pressing down, my knee continues to go forward. And that's what we want to do. Once that happens, I get full flexion of my knee. My quads are getting the most out of the full range of motion, and so are my glutes. The further my knee goes forward, the more hip flexion I get, which means I'm going to get a lot more out of my glutes from the bottom. So I have to make sure that my knees go forward. Now again, this is my wonky hip. I switched up my next set where I started off with my right hip first. We can see I'm kind of going by a little quicker with this. I know eccentrically it's bothering me a little bit more, but that's also because I didn't take a break either. So some tips, guys, make sure you just do one leg first, take a break, then do the next leg. But again, main point here is we want to make sure that we keep those knees flexed. As a coach, and if you're a coach that's watching, you're a personal trainer, whatever it is, don't over cue. Meaning, don't give a bunch of tips while the person's doing the set. Give a couple tips, let them do their set, and then when they're finished, then cue them on what they were doing. And if you have your phone, take a video so to show them what they're doing so they can actually see a visual of how to change what cue you're trying to get them to do. So when you watch me do it, I'll cue her, and then I'll like stop. And then I'll chime in every once in a while when I know that she needs a little bit of coaching throughout the actual set. So this time starting with my right leg, there's a little more weight on the bar. Right? Make sure that knee goes forward the entire time. So if anything, guys, when you're doing these, like I said, any lunge, any squat, whether you're doing a split squat or a squat. The split squat is a movement pattern. The squat is a movement pattern. Your squat is barbells, goblet squats, hack squats. Your split squats are lunges, front foot elevated, reverse lunge, Smith machine lunge, stationary lunge, right? Those are all hip and knee flexion movements. So your goal is to make sure that you get hip and knee flexion through the entire movement. Moves where you don't need as much knee flexion are going to be your deadlifts, your sumo deadlifts, your conventional deadlifts, your Romanian deadlifts. Those are more of a hinge movement where we're not getting as much knee flexion because we want to target more of the glutes and hamstrings in those movements. In this one, if we want to get the most out of our quads, we need to have knee flexion. If we just want to hit our glutes and keep your legs straight a little bit, but then again, it takes away from this movement. Keep your hip and knee flexion equal, drive the knee forward. You'll get as much hip flexion as you possibly can when that knee goes forward. And again, if you guys notice that we switched up. So basically, I will do a set, and then she does a set, and then we switch legs. So if you're with your partner, do the same thing. You do one side first, the other person does the other side first, and then turn it around.